Took the bitch to Miami just to have a threesome. The Ravens got shit on last night. And they're
Patrick Mahomes continued to be Lamar Jackson's kryptonite as he improved to 5-1 in his career against the reigning MVP. That's tied for the fourth best winning percentage in an MVP versus MVP quarterback matchup since 1950. Mahomes has been impressive in those matchups, throwing for 14 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. It kind of reminds you of the Josh Allen Buffalo Bills thing. It's like if only Lamar and company did.
Let me see this. Best win percentage MVP QB versus MVP QB. Tom Brady versus Matt Ryan. 8-0. Damn, he owns you, nigga. I ain't gonna lie. Terry Bradshaw, Brian's 10-1, 7-1, 5-1, 5-1, 10-2.
Didn't have to play the Chiefs, Mina. Maybe they'd be in a whole much of a better situation at this point. As you look back to last night, what do you take away from this entire game and what you'll go forward with here?
Way to start off the season, GOAT.
You don't ever want to draw too strong conclusions from a matchup between two elite teams, but I don't think it's an overreaction to express great concern about the state of the Baltimore offensive line. When they were in clear drop-back situations, you either had Chris Jones hunting matchups the way Marcus Spears predicted he would. You had the Ravens offensive line struggling greatly with the Chiefs' sim pressures, passing off responsibilities. At some point, Todd Monken started keeping in the tight ends to help in pass protection, and then you didn't have enough options downfield for Lamar Jackson. The receivers were struggling to get separation
Chris
as well.
Johnson
and look, the Chiefs' defense is extremely good. The pass defense
Jones
up
was
front, but
hunting out matchups last night, bro.
But the next few weeks, you're looking at Max Crosby next week, Micah Parsons after that, Trey Hendrickson. Like, this is not going to get easier. And if they can't figure out solutions to help this offensive line, passing attack is going to be dead on arrival.
God damn, my hair getting long.
Mina, you're right. I was like, yep. We talked about it yesterday. Everybody mentioned the protection issues that may be possible. But I'm going to go to something you mentioned while you were talking. The wide receiver group and spreading the football around. I know Likely had a bunch of favorable matchups. He had a phenomenal game last night. But I thought they got Bateman involved too late. Mark Andrews had a couple of balls, but most of the majority of
Lamar was playing like a fucking MVP last night. No bullshit.
Or Likely. And you just want to continue to see. And look, it's easy to overreact.
That was a good ass catch.
This game was 20-27. It could have easily went into overtime with the flaws that we saw from the Baltimore Ravens. So everybody out there, just simmer down a little bit. Still a really good football team. You just want to see more weapons start to evolve as the season goes along.
They got to figure out who they can be and who they want to be on offense. That was my takeaway because if we're being real, I expected way more out of Derrick Henry in this offense. And it
Hell yeah.
Like
absolutely.
They're trying to figure out, okay, Lamar, a little bit more comfortable and likely more dynamic in the gun. Derrick Henry, much more effective when the quarterback's under center. So
they got to find a way to make it work, bro. Only 13 yards.
Derrick Henry matches up with that offensive line.
Only 13 rushes for 46 yards, bro. And this big-ass 250-pound, 6'3" running back is only rushing for under 50 yards. That's a problem.
I mean, you talked about
on one of the best rushing teams. That's a problem.
I think they're a little bit of
no
a
bullshit.
They try to lean on you, bigger-sized offensive line, which marries a little bit more of Derrick Henry. So I think they've got to figure out not to be good, but to be good enough to beat Kansas City, who they can be on offense as an identity. Because I watched Kansas City. They unmistakably know who they are on offense. I think Baltimore, week 1, doesn't know, and they're going to have to figure that out over the next couple games who they can be.
Well, obviously,
it's
nigga.
An important point of clarification.
They got a new running back
and
shit, bro. You just got to let them work it
out,
bro.
Certainly, and you heard Dan just mention it there, Ryan. This Kansas City offense was off and running. What did you like out of what you saw last night?
I mean, I thought it was actually beautiful.
That's my girl right there.
And I know sometimes we don't associate that word.
Hold on, let me give her a kiss
real quick.
Let me give her a kiss real quick. Give her a kiss real quick.
beautiful. And I know sometimes we don't associate that word with football, but Patrick Mahomes was in complete control of this game from the very beginning. He made all the plays he needed to do to make on time. There was a Pacheco drop, a Travis Kelce drop in the red zone, and a Juju Smith-Schuster sort of bang-bang play at the goal line, or else they would have scored more points. But we saw him get outside the pocket, and every time the Kansas City Chiefs needed a huge play, Patrick Mahomes was able to do that. I think it speaks to the continuity and consistency of this team. They always bring up coaches through the ranks. Matt Nagy's back as the offensive coordinator, but then they added pieces to get better.
Hold on, let's look at these stats. The interception was some dumb shit. He could have had, if Juju caught that touchdown, it would have been 34-20 probably. So he would have had over 300 yards, but we're just going to talk about what's right here. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 68 rushing yards. Oh, he had a good-ass game.
Rashee Rice seems completely at home in the slot, working in between the numbers. And Xavier Worthy doesn't have to be the savior of this team. They need him to make the most out of his touches, and we saw that last night.
Oh,
I believe
he
the Kansas
did.
City Chiefs are only going to get better when they get Hollywood Brown back off of the injured list. And so when you watch this team, you just think to yourself,
my goat's finna go stupid.
MVP if I was
season.
Lamar, that I didn't get him last year, because this year it looks even a little more difficult.
Yeah, last year was the time to do it. Good point. One of the things, too, Patrick Mahomes did post-game was praise Xavier Worthy in his first true NFL action.
Laura T. Higgins, doubtful hamstring issue, flared up late in the week. He was feeling good, but he's had a hamstring problem throughout training camp. So
bro, y'all are playing against the Patriots, bro. Y'all could sit that game. Them niggas is trash.
Throughout the weekend, but
that's Flight's team right there. Them niggas suck. They need a whole, like, they need to rebrand, change the name, bro. This is a disgrace to their fucking legacy.
That's an artificial
Tom Brady's legacy, bro.
To get that contract extension to the finish line. Sources in Billy have told me for really the better part of the last week that they've been close on this deal. If they can get it done, he'll be among or even the highest paid wide receiver in the league.
Man, by tonight, we're keeping our eyes out for that. Jeremy, Joe Burrow has struggled enough early in seasons, even with his weapons there. And we just heard the update about where they might be now. In weeks 1 and 2, he has gone a combined 1-7 in his career. He's thrown 12 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in those games.
Crazy.
In week 1 of last season, he threw for just 82 yards, didn't throw a touchdown, and what would result in a 24-3 loss in Cleveland. Here's Jamar Chase today, speaking to the media for the first time since all these contract disputes have come up.
You mentioned there's a lot of rumors. Is it true that the reports that you want one penny more than Justin Jefferson?
If I want to beat Justin, I'm going to beat the shit out of Justin. Not by a penny, brother. I want to say we're off a little.
Yo, this nigga's not playing about this fucking contract. Like, bro, this nigga wants to be the highest paid. You know what, bro? Give me a second. All right, so I had to go look at this because obviously he's going to get the wins, right? But in the games that they played against each other, or no. Wait. What the fuck am I looking at? Oh, it's like their career, so clearly he's better. But he also has more games played. And last year he was hurt. Our regular season, what is this? He does have 10 more yards. He has 3 more receptions, though. Type. He has 8 touchdowns. He has 6. I don't know what season that's from. It doesn't have a name. But, I believe Justin is the better player, bro. I don't know.
A little bit. But, you know, I'm going to beat the shit out of Justin. Not by a penny, brother. I want to say we're off a little bit.
He sounded a little zesty whenever he said that shit, too, though.
But we'll see by game day. It's been a long process. You know, it's been pretty aggravating for the most part. But I try not to let my feelings get in the way, bringing it to work and affecting the guys that's practicing. I'll probably be limited if I do play, but we'll see what happens.
Do you plan to play?
Game time decision.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that...
Yo, this nigga's
It's
actually mad
fascinating.
as
It's the
shit
first
about
time we finally
this
heard from him,
contract.
right? He's handled this very silently up until this point.
Hell
Lots
no.
of question marks. I don't think we have any questions about how he actually feels. And RC, we just showed you the numbers of Joe Burrow without, even with important weapons, but without them, who knows what he looks like. How important is it for Burrow to have Jamar Chase out there week 1?
First off, if you've ever been to the West Bank of New Orleans, Jamar Chase is it.
He's like everybody.
You absolutely know where he's from. But when you think about Joe Burrow, it's normally been Joe Burrow that hasn't had the advantage of taking the proper amount of snaps through training camp. But this year he has, but it's been without his star receiver. And there's no two players in the league that have that sort of chemistry outside of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. These are guys that played together since Jamar Chase was 19 years old at LSU. And when you even looked at Joe last year as he was coming off of those injuries, the days or the nights that he had the best games was when he targeted Jamar Chase a lot. His ascension in his second year to a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber quarterback was because of the drafting of Jamar Chase. And so if this team, not only Joe Burrow, wants to get off to a smart and fast start, they would love to have Jamar Chase on the field.
Yeah,
they probably working on it, bro.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the Jamar Chase and potentially Christian Gonzalez matchup. Obviously, Gonzalez's season was cut short, but you, Mina, y'all talked about how his skills were in coverage and man-to-man. The one thing we know about New England this year that we can be comfortable with is that they're going to play defense, a high level. They got really good guys on that side of the ball. And also listening to Jamar Chase talk about that, I heard him say,
wait, didn't Drake May get hurt?
So if he's limited and there is no T. Higgins, who the hell you throwing the football to? Because this is Tyler Boyd
some varsity
on
fucking
another team
football
as well.
player.
So this could be a completely different wide receiver group than Joe Burrow has had since he's been in Cincinnati. And you're talking about a defense that is really stingy, a really good back end, with a corner that everybody thinks is going to ascend to be one of those guys we talk about as a top guy.
Can Cincinnati run the football? That's kind of like my question going into this.
Who's their running back?
Indifferent of if Jamar or Teague play, and not only this week,
dead
but
ass
for the
though.
season.
Who the fuck is
They're
their running
the
back?
second worst running football team in football last year. Now, part of that was because of the Joe injury. We know Joe can throw the ball up and down the lot. We know the weapons that they have. Joe is going to find ways to get completions to other guys. Zach Moss comes over. I'm not sitting here telling everybody that this needs to become the Baltimore Ravens, but they got to find a way with Moss and Brown to be way more efficient in their run game. Those are my two questions for Baltimore in general. Can they run it a little bit better, and can they stop the run? Because I don't care how good Joe is. They're not beating Kansas City. They're not beating Baltimore. They're not beating Buffalo. They're not beating Houston unless they improve in both of those areas when it matters the most.
Them niggas.
Yeah, and Mina, so much of the conversation around the Bengals, especially in the offseason, has been the offense, and rightfully so. But what about the defense? What about Lou Anarumo's side of the ball?
Yeah, I'll echo what Dan started talking about there. They couldn't stop the run at all last season. And when I think about this particular matchup and what the formula for an upset looks like, it certainly starts with those elite wide receivers.
Look at my goat.
Out. By the way, Patriots, very good run defense.
Isaiah, protect, check.
Get out of it continues with this Patriots team actually running the football on a Cincinnati team that not only ranked in the bottom of just about every metric stopping the run, they were particularly bad against under center runs. Third worst in the NFL, which is really what I expect to see out of this Alex Van Pelt offense. They also need to stop the occasional play action shot play.
Yo.
Out of this Alex Van Pelt.
Look at this nigga jump. Holy shit.
Offense. They also need to stop the occasional play action shot play. Another thing we saw way too much last year with the Bengals, giving up explosives. A couple new safeties back there with old friend Von Bell and then Geno Stone. That to me is the biggest priority. Stop the run, limit explosives, and you should be able to handle what I think most of us expect to be, not a very good Patriots offense.
Yep.
Exactly, you see our game picks right there. We're all Bengals across the board.
There's no way I'll lose.
The NFL Live curse is a real thing if you haven't been following us, but I'm not changing my pick.
I feel good about this one.
Type shit. What do y'all think is going to be the outcome with Jamar Chase? The nigga is mad as shit about that contract, buddy.